Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello listeners, recently I was able to talk to Jeff Teravainen, an actor who has done a lot of voice work as well as appearing in 12 Monkeys as Agent Stack and Dark Matter as Lieutenant Anders. We're able to talk about his career, gaming and palaeontology of all things. So I hope you enjoy our discussion. Hi Jeff, thanks for joining us here.
Pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you on. So how's your day going?
We're busy. Got a kid home from camp and auditions coming out my ears, and it's always busy when you don't expect it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
So looking at your IMDb page, you've done a fair amount of acting. What kind of got you into that in the first place?
I always wanted to be an actor. I love film and television so much right from the get-go, but I never saw it as a viable career, I guess. I did music for a lot of my life, which is another real stable job. But when that sort of petered out, I did a little bit of modeling. I got scouted for that, and it was fun. I got to meet girls and stand around with them, and I thought, okay, I'll do this for a while. But I landed a commercial, and it sort of got me thinking, and maybe I can take this more seriously. And it just sort of ballooned from there. But I loved it right from the beginning.
Cool. Do you miss being in a band? Because I see on your Wikipedia page that you've done a bit of that.
Yeah, I did. It was really, that consumed my life. And I loved it when I was doing it, except for the industry part of it. It was very tough. And it seemed we were always on the cusp of doing pretty good things, and then something would always happen. So maybe it was the universe telling me to become an actor or do something else.
Yeah, it does seem there's a lot of I suppose there's industry politics everywhere, but music seems to be particularly rife with it, certainly in the public consciousness.
I've said this before, that when I got into film and television, I was floored by how everybody from top to bottom of the pecking order all seem to pull in the same direction. They want to make a great product. They work with you. The stars, when you're doing a scene with them, will engage you, even though it's not their turn to be on camera. Whereas in music, I just didn't get that. Music, when you worked with someone that you loved or grew up liking and got to open up for them, sometimes you found that your sound checks, after a good sound check, your time on stage would be all messed up because somebody's gone in there and messed with your settings. You think, wow, who could do this? I thought I loved these guys,
Yeah.
So, I always hate to paint everybody with the same brush because there's great people in music, but different ball game in terms of how things are done.
Yeah. Your acting, you kind of do a lot of voice acting as well as physical acting. What's the main difference as far as you're concerned, and what are the kind of different challenges?
Well, obviously the main thing is that you're not being seen, so you could do it in your underwear if you're which I have actually. At home, I have a home studio, so it's not I've done it a few times where I've been pretty casual, but in the studios, it's just like whether you're doing a commercial voice or animation, that you really have to find a character. You really have to believe what you're reading. You really have to sort of make it come to life, just like they tell you to do in acting class sort of thing. They, lift it off the page. It's very minute things that make a good voice thing work. So I guess you just, after a while, you sort of hopefully figure it out and they keep booking you.
Yeah, I imagine it's a big difference not always acting opposite the person that you're speaking to as well.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, for sure. With the video games and stuff in the past too, we wouldn't always be. You have your scripts and you do it, and you know what you're saying to the other person, but they're not there. But that's sort of changing too, because we're doing motion capture for most of it.
Yeah.
But I love doing voice work, though. I'm very, very lucky to be able to do it. It's a sort of a cliquey kind of place, at least in Canada.
Mm-hmm. So, is there any characters you have got your eye on voicing? You've got the DC animated films, for instance. They're always kind of recasting different people.
I'm in the midst of going for my U.S. visa, so if we get a chance down the road, I can't even imagine how cool it would be to be on some of those things. I've been lucky to do Beyblade and Bakugan and things like that for animation, which are really cool. My daughters, the boys that my daughters know, love those shows, so it's kind of funny when I say them on it, and they don't seem to get it. It's like, you can't be on it. Those are real things. So any specific characters you'd have your eye on? You know what? You got me on the spot there. I can't even think of anything. Just any of the Marvel stuff in that, just having an opportunity. But I mean, most of the stuff we know about is already being voiced, so it'd probably have to be something new.
Fair enough. And I see you're a big fan of paleontology as well. Have you been on any kind of high-profile digs and ever find anything that was remarkable?
I am. I'm obsessed with history, and paleontology is one branch of it. I'm like a amateur paleontologist, if you will. I love going out with my family, and actually we have a lot of digging areas in the side of the road and sort of thing with limestone outcroppings. You can find amazing things. We found everything from sea scorpions, eurypterids they're called, to amazing trilobites. And around here we had a sea that was an Ordovician sea about 350 to 400 million years ago. You're digging up some of the first complex life, like first jaws, first eyes, that sort of thing. So, when you pull that thing out of the rock, nobody's touched that in hundreds of millions of years. It's incredible. I'd love to get out on a dinosaur dig, that kind of thing as well, but that's something I always dreamed about. We'd hit it big and I'd be out racing cars on the weekend, or else going to dinosaur digs
out in the middle of the sweltering desert.
Oh yeah, I know some people would always say you're crazy, you'd be out there for 2 days and hate it, but I don't think so. I don't know, I just love that stuff. And I love, like I said, history. My favorite magazine is BBC History Magazine. I get it every month, so I salivate when that comes in.
Cool. And then,
big time.
So obviously you're on TV, but what do you watch when you're not, acting? Well,
that's one of the cool things is that I'm a fan of a lot of different styles and genres. So, I've watched a lot of Joe's creations there with Stargate and that, and getting to work with these people is a real treat. I can say that I have something coming up on The Expanse. I can't say anything about it, but just that I'm on it. But again, I'm a huge fan. 12 Monkeys, I was a huge fan before I got to go on it. And then you're working with these people, and they all turn out to be super nice too, which is great, But I was like super fanboy when I got on those sets that I actually got to do it. But I love those shows. I love sci-fi, Homeland, or The Detour. I can't stop watching right now. It's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. House of Cards, Game of Thrones, you name it. We live in such an amazing time for television and choice. There's not enough time in the day to watch it all.
Yeah, it's especially writing about it. I have to kind of make tough choices on what shows that I'm going to cover. I tend to stick with the more nerdy stuff like The Flash and so on. Cause,
but what a great thing for you to have that choice, because you've got so much there,
Yeah, it's kind of at the point where it's instead of, I wish I could see this, it's now, I've not seen it yet. And, it's out there and you can watch it, but you can't watch it because there's not enough time. It's crazy.
No. There's not, and that's the thing. I've got a young daughter, so obviously I try to spend as much time with her, and by the time she gets to sleep, I try to sneak in a few things, and then I'm done. So,
yeah, not enough hours in the day, as they say.
Nope. So, and plus my video game addiction doesn't help, so.
Yeah, that's a time suck, it certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
So what games do you play, and what console?
I play on the PS4 right now, and the 3 sometimes, but I'm sort of semi-addicted to Battlefield. I love that, and I'm in a clan, I have to admit. But also I love Fallout. Best games I ever played were BioShock games and The Last of Us, which I believe they're making movies about, a lot of these. So
yeah, they're trying, yeah.
I would kill to be some of those characters. Some of the folks on Dark Matter actually were played characters on the BioShock games. And when I first met them, I was already, Roger Cross I've seen in everything under the sun. So again, you're like, wow, I'm working with Roger Cross. Then I read on his bio that he had done stuff on BioShock, and suddenly he was elevated to even a greater status.
Cool. In terms of films, what do you try and get to see if you get the chance to go at the cinema or catch them on demand or whatever?
I'm all over the map again. It just depends on the mood I'm in, but I love... good serious films, that sort of thing. The problem again, though, is just lately I haven't had the time.
Yeah.
We do watch a lot of TV because you can watch an hour here or half an hour there, and then you're not flaking out because, again, auditions come and your whole world shuts down. I'm down in the basement talking to myself for hours on end, trying to get stuff going. So it's easier to sort of get connected to a show, I find, these days than actually spending 90 minutes, 2 hours on a film.
Yeah, it must be a bit challenging working during the summer when all the big films are coming out as well.
Yeah, but I mean, well, thankfully, I've got a nice little home theater set up, and to be honest with you, I prefer watching the stuff at home anyways. I've got a 3D TV I've invested in, and a nice stereo system, and I don't have anybody talking and eating popcorn next to me. Yeah. I took my daughter to go see the latest Pixar film the other night. I knew it was a kid's film, but still, people just talked like crazy through the whole film. And if that was a serious film, I would have been losing my mind. So
yeah, I was lucky enough to see Finding Dory at the film festival, so had a pretty polite audience.
Nice little difference there, yeah. I mean, I knew it was a kid's film, so I kind of was good with it. But if it was some sort of serious film you're really looking forward to, and people are chomping away and talking about, changing their tire or whatever the heck she was talking about. Yeah. But it is what it is.
You have to wonder why people choose then to bring these things up.
I have no idea. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's even scary to me, or not scary is the word, but sad to me. I live tweet, and I love doing it because I love interacting with fans. It just the fact that I have a fan is a cool thing for me. Mm. But I got to admit, I feel bad for like the cinematographers and stuff like that who have spent hours trying to light something, and people aren't really paying attention, or else they're looking at some of these media from their smartphone, and that you think, wow, like the work that goes in to make this beautiful and sound good, and and it's just being played through an iPhone speaker. It's kind of sad, but hopefully people watch it maybe more than once, and they'll get the full range of things that are meant for them.
Yeah, you can only hope.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm live tweeting, I'm immediately watching it again because I want to see everything that's going on.
Yeah. So before we get on to Dark Matter, I actually remember you from Hollywoodland, weirdly.
Oh my God, really?
Where you played an auditioning actor. Like, how realistic was that in terms of
that's
your experiences?
Funny. Well, that was a weird experience. I was really new to everything, so I couldn't believe that I was going to work with that director, Alan Coulter. I mean, he did The Sopranos and all this stuff. This is a heavyweight. And I had a scheduling thing, so I almost didn't do it. And then I did it, and the scene is actually a lot longer, and I'm in it a lot more. But unfortunately, Ben's Affleck, who's the main character in it, a lot of his stuff got cut, and mine did as well. And of course, I went to the movie with my family. It was just such a letdown. I just felt like dying inside because wait a minute, I'm supposed to be on. Where's all my stuff? So yeah, I'm there, but I'm not really there. I know it happens now, but it was a real kick in the gut that day.
Yeah, I suppose they don't tell you how much they're cutting as well after the.
Well, no, and it was just funny because he really, I was surprised because he really wanted me for this role. He said I had the perfect look for what they wanted to do, and he loved my audition, and because I almost didn't do it. And I thought, okay, we're on easy street now. And then, of course, you see the movie, and it's like, where the heck am I? What's going on here? Yeah. Well, at least I got my credits and stuff.
Yeah. So on to Dark Matter, since that's the big thing at the moment. I mean, the big question is Anders still alive? You might not be allowed to say, and if he is, how's he going to deal with being shot by his friend and colleague over just a bunch of criminals?
That's an amazing question, but only the Baron Destructo knows that one. I'd love to know what's going on in Joe's head for that stuff. I mean, they always say, I've read interviews actually where he said that we didn't see a body and we didn't see a headshot, so you never know. So I just wait for the phone to ring and do a lot of hoping and wishing back on things. Yeah. Well, it's by far my best experience. I love playing Anders, and there's such a great group of people. Joe and everybody made me feel so welcome. Ivan, you name it. So if I get to go back on, I'll be doing a happy dance for sure. But I guess we'll see what they have planned.
Yeah, you mentioned the way he teases people. It's well known that he kept secrets even from the actors who might have been playing the traitor in season 1. So,
well, yeah, I was a huge part of that, which was funny because when we did all the wardrobe fittings and everything, I had to go in at secret times. I wasn't on the call sheets, so nobody knew that I was coming. Joe really wanted it to be a secret, which is so funny because what happened was scheduling wasn't, I guess, didn't have everything down 100%. So they said, bring him in at like 9:30 in the morning. And I sat in that trailer till I think around 10:15 at night because I was sequestered. If they let me out, they were afraid that someone would see me, especially Roger, who's, funny enough, his trailer was next to mine. So I could hear him talking on the phone and stuff. And, I realized if he recognizes my voice, the gig is up. So I was quiet and I sat there and read and whatever else I did all day waiting to get out there.
So you got to know a little bit more than everyone else before it all happened.
Yeah, it was funny. But I didn't know much more. I just knew that what was going to happen and we were going to do our little, what they call it, a perp walk there. So
yeah.
I just bided my time and waited to come out. But it was great. It was they were in such good spirits, and I think it was one of the last scenes they shot that season. So and I got a chance to meet a lot of people in that. So
yeah, must be interesting to sort of react realistically to these kind of reveals without knowing ahead of time.
Yeah, and that's the thing too for me as a fan of the show. It's cool for me as well. You know what I mean? Like I actually got to see what was going on there sort of ahead of time. I felt like I was a VIP guy or something.
Yeah.
But again, after doing episode 8, I'd watched the show from the beginning anyways, but because I got sucked into the plots as well, so it was cool for me.
So obviously you've got Dark Matter, Killjoys and Continuum that are all kind of Canadian made and produced shows, and all three of them have a common theme where large corporations are the bad guys.
It's funny.
Is that kind of something in Canadian society where people are wary of big businesses?
I don't know.
Is that the demon of the moment, so to speak?
I think it's a realistic look at a future that's, in some ways, is already here. I mean, look at the American political system right now with the lobbyists. I mean, anybody who thinks it's fully democratic doesn't realize how much power those lobbies have, and that's the corporations, right? It's there now. Now, maybe not at the scale that you're seeing on Dark Matter and that, but it's a slippery slope. How much more power do they have, and at what point do they stop having to sort of hide it and cloak it the way they do, when it just becomes the norm? Where Mike and these different corporations are almost like government. So yeah, I mean, it's. Maybe Joe and the other writers are just seeing something that the writing's on the wall. I hope not.
It does seem to be kind of unique to certainly the Canadian shows I've seen, where the big corporations are the villains. I think in American shows it tends to be there, but it's more in the background. But certainly in certainly 3 shows I mentioned, it's all that's who controls everything. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, being next to such a giant too, we're so heavily influenced, and so much of what we do is around the American sphere. And let's face it, America's corporations are massive. So we're in their gravity all the time. So maybe it just comes across that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I threw a space analogy. I don't know whether it worked or not, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it's just interesting that it keeps coming up. So
I know it probably will keep coming up. Honestly, because I'm just trying to think. There was something else recently, and the Expanse as well. I don't know if you follow that show, but again, lots of stuff with corporations in the Expanse as well.
Yeah. So yeah, they're all taking over. It's a warning of the future.
Yep.
This is another one that you might not know, but is there more to see of the Procyon insurrection, and is your character's cover still in place, whether he's alive or not?
I don't know. Again, I'm so limited at what I can say, but I can honestly tell you right now, I loved Andrew Jackson, the actor who played the general. He's a friend of mine. He's a great actor, and I don't know. Actually, I haven't talked to him in a while. I don't know if he is back on. I would love to see more of that. I'd love to see more of what happened with that whole thing. And maybe, I can understand more about Anders as well, but I guess we'll see. They basically gave me my script, and then whatever else on the other episodes is a mystery to me. So I, as a fan, I'm waiting too. Like hopefully we will see something.
That's quite good. It means you can be in the show and watch the show at the same time.
Well, exactly, right?
Yeah.
I honestly, like, because, like I said, Dark Matter was a news show, I sort of fell into it right from the beginning because I knew I would be on it that season, and I watched it. But like a lot of these shows, like 12 Monkeys, the first season I watched just because I wanted to see it, and I ended up loving it. So when you actually get on it and you think, man, I'm part of this, even if it's a small thing, it's like I'm very proud to be on these shows. Yeah, big, large role, whatever. It's or small, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. And in terms of the decision that Anders and Six had to make about their corrupt employer, do you feel for the Anders situation, or would you have gone with what Six did? Like just you personally.
Yeah, my personal feeling is that obviously these guys were close. They've been through a lot together, especially you look at Deep Cover. And I believe that Anders really does care about Six. So I think in my personal thing, I would have gone. Now, here's the thing, and this is where Joe knows more than anybody. You could tell that Anders had a real struggle with it, and there may be a really good reason why he can't go. So that's all I can really say about it. But, maybe Anders wanted to go desperately. Maybe he thought that it was the right thing to do. But sometimes there's anchors that stop people from doing things that they want to do. So,
yeah, that's an interesting insight. Did you read any of the comics that preceded it, and were the other actors encouraged to read its background material, or just going blind, so to speak?
I think I remember an interview with a couple of them saying some did and some didn't. In my case, I didn't, but I did when I was sequestered. I read them all. I read some of them twice because I was running out of things to read. My internet was going down. So,
it was just interesting to see, because obviously they exist, and it'd be interesting if they were required reading or not. But it doesn't seem like they were. So, yeah,
I've noticed that with other things too. So I know that it helps build a character sometimes, but other people will say that it doesn't because they want to make it their own and. All they need is the basics of what they have to do and the motivations and that, and then they'll work around it. I'm either way. I don't have a formula for that. Whatever works at the day, sort of thing for me.
So what do you think's next for you? You already mentioned the Expanse. What other shows are you trying to get into, or would you like to appear on?
Well, there's so many, and that's the thing. I always point out I'm certainly no superstar or anything like that, so. We get auditions, we do the best we can, and I just hope that more opportunities come up. I can say that I auditioned for something last week that I'm on hold for. All right. So I have every digit in my body crossed right now because it's what do you call it, a recurring role again on a great show, and it shoots far away. So it'll be exciting to do that as well. I just I'm waiting for the phone to ring, getting desperate.
Well, fingers crossed for you that it'll come through. That's
the acting world, though. I mean, I've been very fortunate because, between acting gigs, I work quite a bit in voice, and it's good pay, that sort of thing. So I've managed to make a good career the last 13 years of it. But, you're always hoping that some good opportunity is going to come up. And like I said, when Dark Matter came up, I felt that it raised my game in a huge way. The way the casting directors see you, that sort of thing. Had some great meaty scenes, so it's been a treat. And then getting to work with Terry and the gang at 12 Monkeys helps and everything else. So
yeah, only really got one last question. It's one we ask everybody because we do the kind of comic book thing. So ask what superpower some people would have and why. Everyone's got one.
I would love to be able to be invisible.
It's quite a popular one.
Yeah, I figure it's probably going. Yeah,
for all different that you could cause.
Yeah, for a lot of different reasons. If in the superhero way, I'd love to be able to do some vengeance and stuff in the world, but at the same point, I'd love to be able to, I don't know, all kinds of crazy things. Plus, you could be easy to be rich if you were you could get up to all sorts of mischief. So yeah, invisible I think would be a pretty, well, not all the time, but
turn it off and on.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a really good, that's something to lay around and fantasize about kind of thing.
Yeah, it's always good to imagine the possibilities, and I guess that's why we all love science fiction.
There was a great show in the 70s, I remember. It was The Invisible Man. It was some English actor, actually, that was in it. I forget.
Yeah,
I love that show. I remember thinking that as a kid, how amazing would that be?
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe one day you'll get to be on something where you have a superpower of some sort.
Yeah, I keep hoping.
I mean, the Flash is always filming, Arrow, all those ones. So,
well, I think the Flash actually, I did an audition out in Vancouver for that last year, and I was pretty pumped if I had got that role. As you probably know, I didn't, but but I'm hoping that I'll get another shot. It's a good show too. I've watched a lot of episodes as well, so very well done. So we'll see. Hopefully, maybe Blind Spot's another show I'd love to do. Martin Giro from Dark Matter's first season, actually, he's the showrunner on that one. So,
all right,
Martin, if you hear that one,
so you've got an in already.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, with the U.S. visa, it might help. Since I don't know if I can legally work down there yet, but if they come up here,
who knows? Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you, and thanks very much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. Anytime. It's been good, and thanks very much for all the support on Twitter that you've given by retweeting and reading the reviews as well. It's been great.
No, my pleasure.
I know Aaron, who writes the Dark Matter ones, it's really appreciated some feedback from people who are involved in the show, and he's heavily into the show as well. So obviously from his reviews.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
Righto.
So thanks very much, and
no problem.
Good luck with all your auditions and future projects and all that stuff.
Yeah, you too. And like I said, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So that was my discussion with Jeff Teravainen. I hope you enjoyed it and will join us for the next Meal Before Pod interview segment.